Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. I'm in a rocking chair. I'm on the front porch. It's a beautiful day. It's raining a little bit here, but you have a rare sense where me and my boy Alex are actually at home. This is very, very rare that we're both at home, even though we just traveled. You know what I want to do? You know, we met in LA at a meetup in Santa Monica, I believe, was the area. And I've watched you grow your Airbnb portfolio. And now you're talking about some big things that you're working on, hotels and everything. But, talk to us about, who you are, where you got started, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. Alex Sabio, married, father of four, live here in Southern California. I actually work in healthcare. I'm still at my W-2 job. Hopefully not for too long. I've pretty much replaced my income, but I'm really conservative. So waiting to, get to a certain point. Started investing in early 2000s in real estate. Made every single mistake in the book that you could make. Was an awful investor. Kind of learned from all of that. Had some bumps and bruises. I don't shy away from the fact that I had a foreclosure. I had a bankruptcy. Fell on some hard times in the 2008 recession. And I realized the mistakes that I made from that was that I just didn't cash flow enough. Right. And so there was a couple of things when I started getting back into real estate. I said, hey, either I have to expand my portfolio or I have to cash flow even more. So I tried expanding the portfolio, started buying some like C-class properties, $60,000 to $80,000. Those cash flowed nice, but over time, like every 2-3 years, you'd spend like $5,000 to $10,000 fixing it up. So they took all my money. Tried looking into apartment syndications. And this is early 2020, and we all know what happened early 2020. The world turned upside down, and it was virtually impossible for me to get a deal at the time, or made it really difficult as a new investor. And I just so happened to stumble upon short-term rentals. I had no idea what it was. My tax professional was kind of steering me that way, and I jumped all in. I put almost every single dollar I had into short-term rentals. And the rest is history. Like currently I have 5 short-term rentals up and running. I have 2 more that I'm building. And I'm a firm believer that you only need a handful of short-term rentals to be financially free. But that's where I'm at right now.
I agree with that. But, as a dad who has 4 kids and, has a good job, you have a decent job in a great area. What was your push to look for something outside of that? Like, what was the reason behind it?
It's kind of embarrassing because I tell people this. Really, the initial push, like everyone else, they want financial freedom and they want generational wealth for their kids. So that's really what it was initially when I started investing in real estate, but I was really bad at it. And then, like I said, I'm really embarrassed about it, but I was miserable in my job. And I love my job. I absolutely love it. But I hate it for the people I work with, or not with, the people I work for. They felt like they owned you. And it's sad to say that, but that's when I felt extremely uncomfortable. Like life could not continue in this path. And I needed to make a change. And I think, I worked at an amazing place where they paid great and had amazing benefits, but I was miserable and it couldn't continue anymore. And I got uncomfortable. And then I really just dove in. Like I said, what are these people doing in real estate, figuring it out? And I have to do the same thing. So.
And man, I've been racking my brain all morning for the question that you asked me at the meetup. I somewhat know it a little bit, but I know you probably don't remember the question you asked me, but it was something about putting yourself out there and taking time away from your family to travel and go to events, and it was something around that line. And ever since, and I'm not saying that I had anything to do with it, but ever since that event, it feels like for me, you've really, you started a Facebook group, you've gone to events, you're in masterminds. It feels like to me, like you officially went all in, and I'm just curious what that did for you, and what you've seen from really investing in yourself and your time into these avenues.
Yeah, COVID definitely had a lot to do with it. Like we were locked down. And then when I met you in Santa Monica, she's just been probably a little over a year ago. I told myself I really do need to get out there and just bet on yourself, right? And look, I've had like confidence issues like growing up all my life. I kind of never really believed in myself. And being in healthcare, I almost feel like I'm a respiratory therapist, and I kind of bow down to people that are higher than me. Like, okay, they set the orders and I kind of just do it. But then now for me, it's really believing like I'm the guy up there. Like I know what my self-worth is now. And I didn't know that for many years. And I know what I bring to a team and an organization now. I didn't know what that was for a long time. Maybe I did, but I didn't believe in it. And then now when I met you, we did have some conversations out there, and it was so weird, Austin, because I definitely had an aha moment. It was like I was struggling to go which way. Do I really invest? Do I go all in, or do I stick with the current path that I'm at right now? And it was like, you know what? Let's just go all in. Worst case scenario, I'm at the same situation I'm at now.
Dude, this is the greatest advice I've ever had given to me in my life from somebody that I really respect. Mm-hmm. He said, if you went all in, remember that your default is a six-figure job.
Right.
What's the problem? And I was
right.
What an amazing way to look at it. Right. Like the thing that you're all seeking for is your default now. Mm-hmm. And because we're not giving ourselves credit, like that's what we don't understand is like it's really not that big of a deal as long as you don't go out and bankrupt your reputation.
Right.
Then you'll be all right. That's the number one thing you have to protect.
And right there where you said it, reputation, for me, going all in, I said, you know what? I'm going to stay authentic. And the one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to help as many people as possible, be nice and kind, and we'll see where that goes. The money's going to come. And the thing is, Austin, like, even if the money doesn't come, no big deal. You're at your default. You're still making good money. And you just helped a ton of people get to somewhere where they wouldn't have been. So
I love it. So your first Airbnb, talk to us about that one and talk to how you got it done. Where's it at?
Yeah, that one's been a home run for us. That one was extremely scary. Like I told you, I was investing in $60,000 to $80,000 homes. I put some like rookie question out there, like where should I invest in short-term rentals? I live here in Southern California, and it was weird. A lot of people kept saying the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. I had no idea where that was. I was like, what are you talking about? Did a quick Google search, reached out to an agent out there, and she, I said, okay, I'll fly out there in 2 weeks. She was kind of surprised because at the time, the home that she wanted me to buy sat on the market for 40 days. Remember, in July 2020, we didn't know whether the economy was going to fall off the side of a cliff, right? And people weren't buying. And so I wound up buying this home in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for $625,000, 10 times more than what I'm used to spending, right? It was completely uncomfortable. Not only that, I spent every single dollar I had. I probably had like $5,000 left. And my wife was like, I don't know if we're going to be able to make the mortgage payment this month, because we still need to buy food and, all the utilities and everything. So we bought that for $625,000. That home went on to generate me $135,000 the first year, $130,000 the second year. Not only that, I learned a strategy where I didn't have to pay anything in taxes. Not only that, the home went up. We just got it appraised a month ago for $970,000. Every single dollar I put into it wound up cashing out over $200,000 in a cash out refinance. Not only that, I learned a business and I learned a skill and I learned a trade. And not only that, I taught it to many other people and have helped inspire others to do the same thing. And it kind of just set me off into this trajectory to the point where, like I said, right now we have 5, because I've just been snowballing all the profits into it. I haven't spent a dime. I'm cheap as hell, right? And so I just, whatever profits I have, I go and try to buy more short-term rentals or other investments.
So what about that first deal was easier than you thought?
Well, it was okay. So at the time I was looking at buying an apartment complex in Kentucky. It was like $1.2 million. It was a 60 unit and it was going to need like a complete gut job, right? And the population was only 5,000 people. And I was really worried about it. But the thing is, when we looked at this market and pivoting into a short-term rental, this was a brand new short-term rental in a market I never visited before. And at the time, people kept saying, you could probably just self-manage this. And I had this real fear, right? You have all these fears. And so I've invested in long-term rentals, you know, like throughout my whole career. I always use property management. And here I was about to invest in a short-term rental in a state I never been in before that. And I was going to self-manage it. And I had no idea how to run an Airbnb or short-term rental. But I dove all in. I just obsessed with it, did so much research, contacted so many investors. And that's really what got me more and more comfortable. And you don't know what you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. You don't know how to operate a hot tub. I live in Southern California, never had to deal with a sump pump. Like there's all these things that you never have had to deal with, but you kind of learn as you go. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not so much the aspects of a house. Like I tell everybody all the time, like you can buy a 1930s house and you can fix it up. That house is going to have problems, right? Yeah. And so if you're getting into short-term rentals, it might be best to, you know, the first 2 properties to have a property management company so they can answer a lot of the problems. You can see how they run their business and you can kind of build up yours on the side. What was harder than you thought when you bought that first one?
To be honest, it was easier than I expected. I didn't anticipate, I mean, it's a people business in the end. And I think the reason why it works well for me versus other people, I treat my people like gold. I mean, my cleaners, I treat them. Okay, here's an example. There was a recent college football game last weekend, Alabama versus Tennessee, right? I know my handyman is a huge Tennessee Volunteer fan. And I texted him just before the game. I said, hey, man, big weekend for you. Good luck. I'm watching here. And I texted him a picture of me watching the game. And he was like, oh, my God, I'm here at the game right now. And then I would text him. I said, you know, and I said, I'm not going to jinx it anymore. I'm not going to say anything else. And then when they won, I texted him. I said, man, you better be storming the field, because that's a once in a lifetime experience, right? So creating that connection with people, I think you'll be okay. And I think that's where people have a hard time. They're not connecting with the people, because it's a people game. You're nothing without your cleaners. You're nothing without your handyman. If you're not connecting with your guests, you're not doing well. So I think that that's what made it easy for me, I guess. The hard part has been the fact that you don't know what you don't know. Like certain things, you know, I never dealt with, like I said, a hot tub, or I never had a pool before in my life, and like things are breaking and you're just having to pivot. But, you know, I think the way we look at it is, okay, there's a solution to that. No big deal. We'll fix it. So.
So you got the first one, that one's crushing it. And then talk about, you know, second and third. How'd you go about finding those? Did you employ a different strategy, or it's been the same all the way through?
Yeah, right away, we knew that it was crushing it. I remember our first booking, we didn't even do it right. Like we hit open listing and we said, okay, our first guest will be 2 weeks from now because we don't have any linens. And then we accidentally hit the wrong date. Like, oh my God, there's a guest coming in 3 days. We don't have any sheets on there. But they paid $500 a night times 4. And my mortgage was $2,600 at the time. And we're like, oh my God, there's something to this. We just hit the lottery. It's like an ATM machine that's printing money, right? And so anyway, like within 3 months, my wife was able to retire from her W-2 job. But I contacted my agent. I said, hey, this thing's amazing. I really should have bought so many more. And she said, well, the same builder that built your home is building another community. Do you want in on that? We're releasing next week. I said, yeah, absolutely. So I signed up and I got another one. It wound up closing May of 2021. It was 4-bedroom, 5-bath with an indoor pool. And that absolutely crushes it. Also in Pigeon Forge, maybe like 3 miles away from the first short-term rental. And then that one's been cranking like crazy. And like I said, it's an ATM machine. You just want to get as many of these ATM machines as possible. So I had all these long-term rentals. I said, forget it, man. Those things have been a pain in the butt. I'm going to sell them. So I wound up selling them and 1031 exchanging into 3 short-term rental markets, short-term rentals in the beach. So
I love it. And have you only bought new construction houses, or?
Not like the ones in the beach are all older. Beach market is completely different. I love the mountains. The beach was kind of like a bucket list thing for me, because coming from where I come from, like I said, I've had confidence issues. But you walk around and you see like people living a life that you can't even imagine, and people have these beach homes. Like how do people do that? It doesn't make sense to me. So it was more about me like, yeah, I could do that. Let me go get one of those. And I wound up getting 3.
I love it. So that's something that not a lot of people talk about on the new construction side. Something I suggest to people all the time. Talk to us about things that you've learned from buying new construction Airbnbs. Everybody goes for something on the market.
Yeah.
You're going about a different way, which I actually like, because you're probably going to have a warranty with the home. You're going to have less problems. Like, talk to us about, is that something that people aren't paying attention to?
Yeah, new construction. Okay, so like my beach home, I had to put like $50,000 into renovating it. There was like all old furniture. There's stuff that you don't know, like how long that stuff has been there. Obviously, you have your inspection and all that, but you really don't know. New construction, for me, we did have, when we decided to buy our first short-term rental, we actually drove around and looked at a bunch of older ones. And we're like, you know what, the new one, we feel a lot more comfortable, just because we know what we know. Like the couch is brand new, the beds are brand new, like we're not going to have to replace that. So there is a lot of stuff that puts you at ease having something new. Having said that, new construction has its issues too. It's a house. Like, things inside of a house break. You would never anticipate a washer and dryer to go out like 3 months in. And so then you'll have to fix that too. Will you have the same exact problems with the old home? Yeah, you'll probably have the same exact issues. But yeah, I've had issues with the new constructions too, but a lot less than the older ones. So
I love it. And what's your ultimate vision? Like, if we were to say like 2-3 years from now, where do you want to be focused on, and kind of the path that you see forward with where we are in the economy and what you've learned over the years?
It's crazy, because if you would have told me like the path is accelerated this fast, I would have never imagined it. I think when we all start investing in real estate, you think, okay, I'll buy one house, and then maybe I'll buy a second one, and then after 30 years, I might have 30 or something like that. Like, you'll just go slow and easy. But my path is accelerated. And I think that's my issue, Austin, is that I don't have like a long-term vision. It's kind of like I do have these short goals, and I hit them right away. You're like, holy crap, well, what's next? And so the one thing for me, you don't need that many short-term rentals to be financially free. So right now I could just sit on my butt and not do anything, and I'd be perfectly fine. But with me, I love helping people. So the bigger vision is like, just go out there and help as many people as possible. So I created a Facebook group, Healthcare Professionals Investing in Real Estate. I found a lot of hospital workers were absolutely miserable during COVID, but they saw me generating so much income from my short-term rental. So I just went out there and I just said, here's all I did. All I did was tell them my story. That's all it was. And I said, this is what I did. You could follow it. If not, find your own way or do something else. But this is how I got to financial freedom. So that's one thing. Help as many people as possible. The other thing is, do I really expand the business? So the other thing we're looking into is buying hotels now, right? I never thought I'd be doing that. It's crazy, right? And so we're like analyzing hotel deals. And then the other thing is I'm doing like mentorship and coaching. So I'm helping other like students, kind of guiding them through purchasing their short-term rentals. And really all it is I'm telling them all my mistakes. That's really all it is. And I'm helping guide them through like, okay, this is probably what I would recommend for you. So
what is your basic kind of vision or thesis on why hotels, right? Because I agree with that. You know, we have our own reasons why. You know, why do you think for you it makes sense? Is it just a larger portfolio? Is it something that, you know, you could see yourself visiting yourself? Like what's, you know, all those things wrapped up in one?
yeah, I love short-term rentals, but it's really hard to scale, right? Like you're purchasing one at a time and then you're having to deal with so many cleaners. And the thing is, can we put it all under one roof? And you'd be surprised how many different hotels, like the vision people have when I say I'm buying hotels or motels, they're envisioning like a Roach Motel or something, or like a big Holiday Inn or something like that. There's so many other options there. And when I talk to different investors out there who have gone down that route, the numbers seem to work so much better, right? And the thing is, to make better use of your time, I could purchase 5, 6, or 10 more short-term rentals, or maybe I could find like a 12-unit motel and create like a boutique unique stay or something like that, and generate even more money. So that's really what it is. Here's the other thing that is kind of surprising. My great aunt, she actually owned a motel on the Las Vegas Strip, right near where the Welcome to Las Vegas sign is. And the airport actually bought them out in like early 2000s. And they got a nice, like, amount for it. So in the back of my mind, it's always been like, wow, I can't believe they own a motel here on the Las Vegas Strip. That's something really cool. And for me to circle back and have the possibility to purchase one of those is insane to me. So.
And you talked about in the beginning, your self-worth issues and how you feel great now, you feel confident. You're talking about buying motels. What would you say, what helped you build it up? Was it, seeing the cash flow, seeing an idea come through and execute? Was it, coaching? Was it just talks with yourself, reading books? What were the aspects that helped you kind of create that confidence?
Yeah, I don't know if it was definitely one thing. I mean, I'm an introvert, and I really was just really excited when I just started getting crazy cash flow from that short-term rental, and I just shouted it out to the world. And then it was really just, I said, I'm going to go and just help as many people as possible. And Austin, I work 12 hours a day, and during COVID, I was working 16 hours a day, getting slammed. And I still had enough energy to talk to 2, 3, 4 investors after work every single day. And the thing is, your pitch winds up becoming really good after a certain point. I mean, you're giving the same spiel. And then you're talking after a month's time, you just talk to 50, 60 investors that, and then you start getting more and more confident in what you do. And because the thing is, everyone's like giving you this positive feedback, like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. So that helped me gain more confidence. It was awkward at first, just talking to investors and giving the story, because everyone worries like, oh, will this person just poke holes at every single thing I do? And there's definitely people that do that, right? But then it was weird because a lot of people weren't poking holes anymore, and it was like, okay, so I just started gaining more and more confidence in myself at that point. And then not only that, once I started repeating the process, I was like, okay, I really do know what I'm doing here. So.
I love it. So if somebody's out there, they haven't bought an Airbnb yet, they're sitting on the sidelines, give me, 2 to 3 things how they can begin that process right now, because I believe, as you believe, there's going to be a massive opportunity to buy Airbnbs over the next couple of years. So how does somebody, what are the action items like right away they need to take to get started?
Well, if they're listening to this podcast, they're already starting it. It's really just obsess. There's so much free information out there. There's not a lack of knowledge. I mean, I went on a YouTube like binge, Airbnb. What's the best smart lock? What's the security? Like, there's all of these questions in your mind, and I don't think I listened to music for months. That's all I did, was just obsess with information. And not only that, so that's the first thing, just really just start obsessing with information, and then really just start talking to investors. That's something extremely simple that you can do. You could call me. I love talking real estate. I'll tell you everything I've done wrong and everything that's going right with me. And that's what you'll find in the real estate community, is that everyone is so willing with their knowledge and time. And so you could talk to so many investors out there. That's really what it is. And then at that point, really try to find your strategy, what works out best for you. Do you want to be in the mountains? Do you want to be in the beach? Or do you want to be in the suburban markets? You want to invest in Hawaii? You want to invest in out of the country? Find other investors that are doing what you want to do, and just start talking to them. Pick up a phone call. Say, hey man, I'm really interested in what you're doing. Would you have some time to talk? That's all it was for me.
I love that. And I think at the end of the day, I think people are overthinking it, right? Like I try to tell everybody, simple thing. You want to invest? Where would you like to go travel? That's it.
Right.
That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Like just where do you want to go travel? Pick one. What I'm more concerned about when it comes to the first one is understand the mechanics of having people in a home. Do they get to the home? Does the message get out? Does the cleaner show up? Like once you feel that out, like it doesn't really matter at that point, right? And so at the end of the day, you know, for me, and I had that same moment, you know, I was at work and I was making money, and you're just like, oh, this is like, I felt like the cheat code. Like, this is amazing, right? Yeah. And so I just love it. Your story's so inspiring. So if people want to go out, they want to find your community, they want to learn about more things that you're doing, how would they do that?
I'm really active on social media. You could find me on Instagram, watch my stories. I'm always posting at The Real Alex Sabio, or just type in my name on Alex Sabio on Instagram. I'm also active on Facebook. You could look me up on Facebook under Alex Sabio. My healthcare community is on Facebook. It's called Healthcare Professionals Investing in Real Estate. If you're in healthcare, join that group. And I have weekly meetups with different professionals in the industry, different realtors, different providers out there. All these people that are crushing it in short-term rentals. We talk about a lot of other things too, like Savannah, the net worth nurse, is my partner there in that group, and she talks a lot about multifamily. We talk about taxes. We talk about like all different types of strategies. So anyway, healthcare professionals investing in real estate. That's my Facebook group. Hopefully, join my group if you're in healthcare. So.
100%. The group is extremely valuable. You can't go wrong with it. Trust me, so much knowledge in there, so many great interviews. Well, I can't thank you enough, guys. If you got some value from this episode, send it to a friend, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.